Hey, welcome to the Game Ready podcast. I'm here with Anthony Porter. His claim to fame and reason why I'm so excited to have him on here. He was a finalist on American Ninja Warrior, and he has such a diverse background, and it kind of ties into my goal in life is to help people live a full life without any physical limitations. And after you hear Anthony's story, after you hear his whole journey into going into American Ninja Warrior, we're gonna, you're gonna see it, and I'm excited. I hope he can inspire some people and give people the nerve and the grit to do physically challenging events, even if they have some doubt, and get some self-confidence, not have any regrets, and just live a full life. I'll let you go ahead and start. Anthony, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, what an intro. Thank you very much, Ernest. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of just helping people get out and moving around, I mean, my whole story is that I've been teaching environmental education for the past 6 years. So you can't be unfit in that kind of work, you got to keep moving around. So for me, it's not the grind at the gym, it's the lifestyle choice. And then backing that up with how much can I push myself further than this? So having that nice foundation first, and then being like, all right, I could see where my strengths are. How much can I push those to get to the next level? So that's where I brought myself to American Ninja Warrior. And then now I'm teaching professional archery lessons. And then other than that, I'm just every weekend I'm going down and running, hiking, doing parkour stuff and rock climbing. So it's a lifestyle, but honestly, it's just about whatever you're good at, do it 100%.
Exactly. All right, let's just kind of dive into your background a little bit. Tell me where you're from. Tell everyone where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm a suburban kid from Southern California, but I've been traveling constantly for the past few years now. I think I've been to 17 countries and I've taught in about 5 different states. So I grew up, born and raised in Chino Hills, California.
Yeah.
I went to high school here, went to college out in Arizona in Flagstaff, NAU. Woo. And it's actually, I was a mascot there. So if you guys see the Louis the Lumberjack running around, I used to wear that suit.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was fun. And then after that, environmental education, it brings you around. It's seasonal work. So you might be working for 4 months in Minnesota, then you're going down to Colorado when Minnesota gets 30 under and no one wants to go outside.
Yeah.
And then moving out to San Francisco for a little bit, teaching out in Santa Cruz around that area.
Yeah.
And then, studying abroad, just, I don't know. I mean, it's like a video game. If you don't play like you play a video game where you want to level up and just keep getting better at what you do, then what's the point, Keep leveling up.
That is the key. And the key is to stay healthy while you're doing it. Being healthy and being active. So, tell me about, how did you grow up? Did you grow up in a big family? Were you, what order were you? Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so I am in a giant Italian family. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. So my mom struck out 3 times wanting a daughter. And we were all in the Boy Scouts growing up. And for fitness, for my family, it was about being outside. So my brother became an Eagle Scout, and then my second brother got an Eagle Scout. And then I'm like, well, I guess I got to be fit and do this hiking stuff to get an Eagle Scout. So it was just like moving each other up slowly. I mean, doing sports when I was a kid, my heart wasn't in baseball. My heart wasn't in soccer. I think inherently, personally, I'm not a competitive kid. So getting outside and moving around, for me, that was climbing trees. That was going to the park and see how far you could swing on the monkey bars. That was what was enticing to me. So after I got out of the phase of playing AA, I don't know, soccer and baseball, I got to a point where rock climbing got really, really interesting to me. And so once I started to try a little bit of rock climbing, I remember the first time I went, I beat the teacher of my rock climbing class in a speed climbing competition. And I was like 13. So I was like, maybe I can leverage this. So eventually going to college, I did rock climbing championships where I would competitively go against other people. And a little note on the side is like, the kids are amazing at it. So sometimes there's no age brackets. So 12-year-olds will beat the 45-year-olds, beat the 30-year-olds. It's just the body muscle proportion. But I mean, I've slowed down at some points, you know. I mean, COVID, I packed like an extra 5 pounds, but it's just all about, for me, using my curiosity to see what I can do next outside.
That is excellent. And in the age difference, a lot of times 12-year-olds' minds are a lot more flexible than older people.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Especially during education. You try
Yeah.
to teach a parent something and then try to teach a kid something. The parent's like, nah, I'm done. I'm done teaching. I'm done learning.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's so amazing because they have their imagination is limitless and their ability to absorb information is quick, especially if they're a kid who's extremely interested in what they're doing, and you don't have to sell it to them. That's huge. That is huge.
Yeah, exactly. The motivation behind it. I mean, it's a parent's job to expose, but not to enforce certain passions. And I've seen that in a lot of kids growing up. This kid I'm teaching archery with right now, she had 2 coaches. I was like the kind of relaxed coach, and she had this really strict professional coach. Guess who she's seeing now? It's just me. Because I don't know, it's just more of a, we play around, we joke around, we shoot when we want to shoot, we take a break when we want to take a break. And instead of drilling and saying, this is your passion, this is what you have to do, we're doing competitions next week, some kids don't respond to that. So you want to make sure you're appealing to kids in every way. And coaches sometimes have to learn that too, in terms of teaching a whole team. You have to find the motivations for each kid. And yeah, for kids, find your own thing. Do your weird sports. There's plenty out there.
Oh yeah, and I'm a true believer in that. I think youth athletes should have a diverse sports experience. It makes their life richer. It actually gives them the opportunity to actually develop as a person. I think they have a much richer personality when they learn how to play sports and actually participate at a level, whatever level that is.
Exactly.
So you know, I'm in total agreement with that. So tell me a little bit more about your sports background. Going up through grade school, up through high school.
So going up through grade school, it was flag football, and I didn't do any Pop Warner or like small stuff. It was just flag. I'm a tiny dude, and I've been tiny, so I mean, you can't put me. I was the center for my flag football team. I'm like 5'7". I was like 90 pounds at most and wet in like 8th grade. So I mean, me hiking the ball and going up against these, just, I thought there were tanks, in 7th grade. These kids were huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, football wasn't my forte. So I got out of that as soon as I hit 8th grade, and then going into high school, I got into track. So doing high jump was fun. Doing maybe like 400s was fun, but I wanted to run as little as possible. So what's the sport? What do you think is a sport that you run as little as possible?
Wow. I would say, I would say archery. I would say archery. That's what would come to my mind.
In track and field, it was pole vault.
The pole vault. Yeah.
Yeah. So I became captain of the pole vault team all 4 years. I did varsity. I won a couple things, but it was just something where it was just this obscure, weird sport that I just wanted to try out. And that's where I met my first high school sweetheart, my only high school sweetheart, I guess. And then just socializing with people that really wanted to get into it. And then decathletes all really want to try pole vaulting because that's something that's really niche. So we would always have decathletes come in, and I would teach like these decathletes from other areas how to do it. And my coach is like, hey, I would hire you as a coach if you weren't going to God knows where in 3 months. But so pole vaulting was something that really got me into the alternative. I met some guys that were doing pole vault that did parkour as well, jumping over stuff, rolling out of big jumps. So that was actually pretty needed when it comes to pole vaulting, because if you land wrong, I mean, you're 14 feet in the air. You got to figure out what to do.
Oh yeah.
So rolling out of those, and then that stopped. I didn't think I was good enough to do pole vaulting in college. Not that I really wanted to. I was at this point a pretty grassy nature boy. So I wanted to honestly not even go to college. I wanted to get a cabin in the woods and then just protect like my 10 acres of land. And then that would be my life. Like, I just want to make sure that my life is good and protect nature.
Yeah, that sounds like my son has the same outlook. when he was growing up, I used to ask him, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to have a cabin in the woods and take care of animals. That's what he wants.
Heck yeah. Oh, I want to talk to your son. That is so cool.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's the start of a motivation, right? So that's kind of like maybe the inception point of like, all right, how do I translate my passion into getting other people inspired and help the planet? So for me, I mean, if you look at all the environmental problems in the world, they're like, all right, well, you can see that the underlying issue is people. So like, well, we can't just like bring people away. So the best thing to do next would be to educate them. So starting in college, I really wanted to get into education. I wanted to figure out what can change in someone's mind in order to be like, I don't care about what I'm buying to. Holy crap, my purchasing in California has effects in the rainforest in Indonesia, or my purchasing might actually be like fur from a dog from China. Like we just have to make sure we're responsible for the purchases. Yeah. So what's that click that I can do? And honestly, I found out it's entertainment. If you fearmonger people, if you tell them what's wrong with the world, they're not going to listen to you. They get that all the time outside, you know? So positive, encouraging things that you change step by step. Yeah. That's the sustainable way to a future. One, I told this last time, but one big Thanos snap where like you want to change the world immediately. Yeah. It's not, we're humans. That's not how it's going to work. So
not at all.
Step by step. Yeah.
And that's how you get the blueprint on how to get things done. It's
in anything, especially sports. Jeez.
Exactly. And I love sports for that gift that it gives to kids. It gives kids the blueprint on how to get things done. You take step-by-step points of achievement to reach certain levels, to learn certain skills. And it gives, you know, I had a kid that used the blueprint and he ended up coming third. He ended up coming second and third in the state in the shot put because, oh yeah. His story, it's on one of our podcast episodes. He's one of the greatest kids. His name is Charlie Rosley, and you know and when he texted me when he got second in the state. I was like, man, that is the greatest story. Now you have the blueprint.
Exactly.
You have the blueprint. That is cool. That is excellent. Okay, so tell us about the process of how you even came up with the idea to go on American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, well, it's a weird story because in college, you get people that slackline, you get those like shirtless dudes in the quad playing their guitars. And so I was attracted to that coming from a private school in Southern California. I'd be like, well, yeah, I want to hang out on the lawn in between classes. That's great. So I did that. Slacklining, I hated it. So what I did at home when I saw Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the like James Franco show, I was like, dude, I could swing like that. I could make this work. So I went to Home Depot, bought all this rope, hung it in the tree in my backyard, and just started swinging from tree to tree. And I brought this box of rope with me to college. So I went to the big old willow trees in the Wilson Quad in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I draped all these giant ropes from the tree, and I would swing from tree to tree and rope from rope. And people loved it, and they'd come over and they'd try it. I mean, not a lot of people could do it, just because that's a specified muscle group because you got to really work on the forearm grip.
Yes.
And but I mean, just be weird about it. Find your own thing that I was passionate about. So that skill set, somebody said, oh, you should try for American Ninja Warrior. And then I was like, no. And then a few years later, I finished being a parkour teacher for about a year. I had all these skills. I was doing great in rock climbing competitions. I was like, God, I really have everything I need. Like, why don't I try to do this on television? So it just took my dad one more time being like, are you sure? I'm like, nope, I'm not sure. I want to do it. I want to go on the show. So the application process is like 10 pages long, and it's almost all about your backstory. It's about how you either got through challenges, what your discipline skill is for getting through your workouts every day. And then on top of that, a 2-minute submission video, just who you are, maybe like a tiny bit of workout, but like, what's your goal? Like, what's your motivation? What can we show on the show? And I mean, I'm wearing it now, but
yeah, there you go.
I shoot bows and arrows outside and I swing from trees. So put me on your show, please.
That's okay.
And you know what? It worked. So season 11, I got on the show, and that was in 2019. And I jumped on the first obstacle. I killed it, jumped on the second one, and I fell flat on my back, right on the water, giant back flop. It hurt so bad. I was sore for the rest of the day. I didn't bring a change of clothes. All these people are like, oh no, man, you got to bring a change of clothes just in case. And so I was walking to my hotel in the middle of the dead of night at 4 a.m. with a bow and arrow, sopping wet. And there, in that moment, I told myself, I'm going to do this again. I gotta do better, right? I saw where I started off. This is my baseline. You know, failure is just the start. That's where you find out the base, and then you work up from there. So I trained, did more rock climbing. That's the whole muscle group for that entire thing is rock climbing, getting the whole motion of your body swinging around. And then the next season came, I applied. I went to Universal Studios on the NBC lot in Hollywood. We were filming for like all the back B-roll stuff. As soon as we're about to start filming, they said, this was like March 10th, I don't know, somewhere around there of 2020. And they said, go home. Disneyland shut down. COVID is ruining everything. We can't do this right now. So I flew out. I was working at Colorado at the time. I flew all the way out just to do this. And I flew all the way back home, and they had all this footage of me just like shooting arrows and stuff, but I didn't get to use any of it.
Wow.
And yeah, but they said you're guaranteed for next year.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of. So this was season 13, and I reapplied again, and I said, hi, remember me? And they said, yes, we do. And so they put me on the show. I really had been training so hard up in Colorado, and the altitude, I was up at like 7,000 feet. So that helped.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to do better than I did last time. And I mean, my goal obviously is to smack that giant buzzer, have all the sparks fly up and the smoke. But I don't know. I mean, I'm realistic. I want to make sure that I just do better than I did last time. And I ended up going to the qualifying rounds, and spoiler alert, I smashed that buzzer. I killed it. I got top 5 out of the 80 people for our region of the country.
Wow.
And then that took me to the city finals, which aired around July 7th. And that was pretty dang awesome. They took us out to Universal Studios at that time. They flew us out to Tacoma for the qualifiers. Then we went to city finals in NBC Universal. Wow. And then I got, I think it was out of the 40 people left in each region, they took the top 15. And I didn't do great. I got like 11th, but that got me enough to get me pushed into Las Vegas. And so now we're talking out of the 450 people, I'm maybe in the top 65, around there. So that brought us to Las Vegas. And I mean, COVID literally just kind of released when Vegas was there, but they said, if you don't wear a mask, like we're kicking you off the show. So we had to be we were stuck in our rooms. Wind was 40 miles an hour. So they shut down the whole set. So we have 68 high protein ninja warriors sitting in little hotel rooms in the Tropicana waiting, working out, doing whatever we can, doing pull-ups on our door frames, trying our very best just to stay
active.
Yeah, active.
Yeah.
And that stage 1 of Vegas, they didn't show it too much on my run, but I crushed the whole run. And that first one, I smacked the buzzer and I got past stage 1. So that was at about 3 a.m. at this time. And it was exhausting. They have to film all of these at night because they want to get everybody filmed while it's dark. So they start at 8:30 and they end whenever the sun comes up, and then they do it tomorrow. They do it the next day.
Cow.
So yeah, it's nuts. And then this last episode that aired last Monday, September 6th, 2021, was the stage 2 finals. And so after this stage 2, there is one more before they decide who the winner is. And so now in the stage 2, there's about 25 of us left. I did pretty well. I think I got in the top 20, but I got past half the course. And then there was just this new obstacle I was not ready for. And I splashed in the water. This shirt I'm wearing right now was completely soaked. I was wearing shoes, socks. And of course, I had this mentality, like, I'm not bringing clothes. I'm not bringing an extra pair of clothes. I'm going full in. I'm going to be dry or I'm going to be miserable. That's what I'm doing. And yeah, I was miserable. I was so wet.
So what obstacle was the one that you had the issue with? Could you describe it?
Yeah, so it started off called the hammer drop. So imagine a giant L sitting and on a pivot point on a hinge, right? And so this L starts up where the bottom of the L is pointed towards the sky. So you're running at this L and you got to grab the bottom part of the L with your legs and your arms.
Wow.
And then it swings, and then you just got to ride out the swing.
Holy cow.
And then after that, you have to, we call it mantling, which is we have to get on top of that big hammer. Yeah. And then from there, there's a rope, and you have to jump back to this rope to climb up to this next obstacle.
Holy cow.
And I was the second one to go that night. So I didn't see anybody running before me because I was on deck backstage. Yeah. I didn't see anybody run. So I didn't know what to expect. And I got up there, I grabbed my arms. I'm like, yeah, my forearms, I'm strong. But that was not nearly enough to stop me and a 300-pound swinging hammer for me to just, I mean, if you see the video of me, I am just launched in a straight diagonal line. I am a perfect hypotenuse. There's no like lag time. It's just like a needle right into the water. But yeah, I mean,
no splash.
Yeah, I could have got a 10 out of 10 at the diving at the Olympics.
Wow,
but you know, you live and you learn. I feel pretty good with my run, going from falling on the second obstacle to being the top 20 out of the 450 competitors on a nationwide TV show. I felt like that was a good step. So now that's my baseline. Now I got to work up from there. So we'll see.
That is cool. So could you tell us, because my girlfriend, she loves the American Ninja Warrior. She doesn't really watch TV, and one of her like sweet like pastimes, one of her vices is American Ninja Warrior.
Heck yeah.
Mentally, what do you, when you're on the course, is your mind clear, or are you trying to develop a plan of action on how to actually make it through the obstacles?
So they tell you beforehand what the obstacles are, maybe about an hour before. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting there for about an hour to honestly, maybe even 6. Who knows how long you're waiting. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're outside chilling in a giant jacket, waiting on the sideline. Sometimes you're in a cozy room. But you're brewing, you're thinking of different ideas. And they have a screen in the lobby of people going. So you can see who fails. There's a huge benefit. If there's 80 people, there's a huge benefit to be the 80th person or in the top. You can see all the people fail. And then you just don't do that. There you go. So I was second. That's what sucked. But I don't know. There's enough excuses already, but there's so I totally forgot the question. What were you going to ask?
No. What do you formulate a plan of action, or do you have a clear mind when you're going through the obstacles? You know, because it seems like the people who flow through it, they seem to have like a clear head and they just take it as it comes. And then you have some people where you can see they're calculated and they have like a plan in place. So, you know, yours was like you had a plan, right? For the most part, right?
Yeah, you get a plan beforehand. I mean, you prepare as much as you can, but then when you're in the moment, when the lights are on, I mean, you're going off instinct. So the best thing to do is just to have that back of your brain already running. So it's like, all right, technique is back here.
Yeah.
Prefrontal cortex, decision-making time. Let's just go.
There you go.
And the thing is with like the jitters, a lot of people feel like you get stage fright up top. For me personally, I don't, because if you walk up to a giant audience of people and you're holding a microphone, like you start shaking, you're like, oh God, I'm so like jittery. Yeah. But you're literally doing intense obstacles, you know, you're moving around. That's not a problem as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not super nervous when I go up there.
That's cool.
And there's enough like rev up time for you to get ready.
Exactly.
But when you're on the show and then you see it on TV, you're like, whoa, I should have, like, the stakes are way higher than I thought they were. But yeah, I mean, it's a personal thing as well. Some people say, yeah, the nerves got to me and I fell on the 4th obstacle.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's just about, I don't know, you put on a show. You make sure that, number one, the producers want you back for next season.
There you go.
And 2, if you look like you're miserable up there, you're going to be miserable up there and people aren't going to enjoy it watching at home. So there's no downside to just, even if you're going to fail, or if you feel like you're not prepared, you still do it with a smile, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big proponent of visualization. So do you use visualization at any point during your training and during the actual performing the obstacles on American Ninja Warrior?
Yes. Not as much as I personally, Anthony, am going to grab this floating nunchuck. It's more like, like I feel it's a personal capability thing. So Yeah, I mean, you can visualize yourself hitting the buzzer as much as you want, but for me, it's more about laying down, looking at the obstacles in my head, dissecting them each way, looking at different angles. So it's not as much as like psyching myself out as much as the back brain stuff like I was talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm, visualization, and I'm a, I love visualization. I got introduced to it when I was in high school, and it helps just kind of calm you down. It gives you a calm when things are going nuts. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna go on the story of how it was actually brought to my attention. It was before a game. It was a playoff game. I was in high school, and one of my coaches, he was a great guy, Coach Eggleston. He told us a story, and I was like, okay, we're gonna listen to a story before a game. It's a pretty big game. So he's like, have you guys ever visualized yourself doing exactly what you want to do? And we were like, yeah, no, not really. He was like, well, let me tell you a story. It was a guy who was a POW in Vietnam. He was a POW for like 7 to 9 years. And what kept him going through, he was a golfer. He loved playing golf. Golf was like his number one sport. He loved it. He had a favorite nine-hole course that he played before he enlisted and went to the Army. What kept him going through all the torture and all the craziness, he used to visualize himself playing the perfect golf game every day when he was a POW. When he got released, he went back home, played the perfect golf game.
Wow.
9 holes. And we were amped up. From that point on, I love visualization. I actually did some research on it like a few years back. Visualization is huge. And when I saw your story, I kind of thought that would be one of the processes that you would use, which you do use it. That's cool.
Yeah. That's a great story. Jeez, I want to tell people that story.
Hey, you can have it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of the most inspiring stories, and it gives you an idea of how powerful your mind is. No matter what's going on, you can focus on one thing that brings you some peace and joy, and it will get you through some rough times, and it will give you the blueprint on how to play the perfect game. So I love it.
I love that so much, man. Yeah, I mean, so visualization, in rock climbing, I get a lot of grief because I like to boulder. And so you basically do it without a rope. It's just going up maybe 15 or 16 feet tops. Okay. And then you just kind of hop down. So they're really complex, compressed problems where you really got to be either technical or just big bounding muscle jumps. Oh yeah. And I always get myself in a pickle because I don't look at the route before I do it too much. I'm like, oh, that looks like a great start hold. And then I'll start it. So I enjoy the process of discovering in the moment. But I mean, that doesn't always obviously work out for me.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, it's a gamble.
Exactly.
It's a gamble, and it gives you some excitement.
Exactly. It gives me that clarity too of decision making in the time, Yeah,
exactly.
Like I'm not sitting there before like writing notes down. And so when I'm making a move, I don't think, oh man, what was the next move? Like it's just me physically looking for the move. So that helped me a lot in the Ninja Warrior show. I think a lot of people that do traditional rock climbing or traditional American Ninja Warrior, they plan out the moves and visualize it, which is great. But we need the improvisational, like sometimes you swing the wrong way and you just got to figure it out on the spot. So the improvisational and getting creative on the course, rock climbing or doing anything really, that's what really, I think that's my strength more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. So what's the tallest mountain that you've climbed? What's the tallest mountain that you've climbed that just gave you a boost of confidence?
Man, let's see. I mean, hiking, I've gotten up to like 14,000 something and I hated it. Let's see, but rock climbing, boost of confidence. Going up in Minnesota, there's this place called Tetagooch, and basically it's the glaciers carved out all these lakes. So there's huge cliffs on each side of these lakes. So you rappel down these giant cliffs. So you're next to the crashing water of Lake Superior, basically. And then you're looking up and you're like, all right, well, there's nowhere but up. I can't go down. Like, it's weird to think that your salvation isn't you like resting and going back down on the ground, which is usually how you think about either rock climbing or Ninja Warrior. It's I have to be up in order to be safe.
Holy
so getting that feeling, getting like those paradigm shifts in my brain, that's what gets me that high, that like, oh my gosh, this is the opposite of what I'm used to. And you feel that switch. You're like, oh boy, all right, well, kick it into 11th gear now. This is it.
There you go.
It's 12th gear. Yeah, 12th. Is that better?
Hey, no, any gear to get you through that and make it and to give you a boost of confidence. That's what matters. See, that's something that I would not do. And just a personal note, I just learned how to actually swim this past
Heck yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, I still got some work to do, but that fear of not having something solid under my feet, that was my main issue in learning how to actually swim. And it seems like the same premise when you were in that valley of those rocks and there was nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think about that all the time. I think about that climb because, I mean, never has anything been more on you, You're like, all right, well, my hands let go, my legs let go. I am not going to be me. I'm just going to be a body on the ground, So having that total self-reliance on yourself. I mean, that's why I like bouldering instead of going up with the rope.
Yeah.
It's because I more than anything else, I get excited of my own capabilities. Exactly. And knowing there's a rope there, like you get some rest, you get to take, which is basically just like laying there being like, all right, what am I going to do next? But if you're on the wall, like you have to be on the wall. Like I love that. I love that feeling of just that you're it,
Yeah, you're engaged in the process fully. There's no crutch. And
exactly.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if I have the balls to do something like that. Because the fear of falling, the fear of heights, I would have to do some very, very, very deep subconscious work to actually get over that so I can do it. Because there was one guy I saw on a documentary, and he was a rock climber. He didn't use ropes, and he would climb the big mountains, and his hands were massive. He had these massive hands from just grabbing rocks and making his fingers extremely strong to grab these little niches in the rock, and he'd hang on by like 2 fingers, and he'd be able to pull himself up. That's the most impressive thing, man. I don't think I could do it, but you never know. I wouldn't try it at this point. So,
you're in Florida, is that right?
Yeah, we're in flatland, below sea level by I don't know how many feet. And so I'm
not many rocks out there, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say
in certain areas, and to be honest, there's in certain areas that have some hills, and it's somewhat hilly, but it's not like not like Georgia, not like some parts of Alabama and Tennessee and in some parts of Kentucky. It's but there's if you can find a hill around here, that hill is like is like gold, because everybody in my industry wants to run hills. So, but I mean that's as close as we get to a mountain. But what did you do to actually qualify? I don't know if we covered that. What did you do to qualify for American Ninja Warrior? What exactly put you? Was it the story, or was it your physical capability that helped you qualify for it?
It's really, I mean, boiling it down, it's just the video that you send. If you show them you're capable, they'll put you straight on the show. They don't even have like a testing site. So, I mean, if you talk about American Idol or The Voice, there's like 5 rounds before that first audition that's on the show.
Yeah.
Ninja Warrior, I mean, you can like basically lie the whole time, then show up if you're, and then just figure it out when you're there. But I mean, don't do that because you're just not going to get on the show. But it's straight. You go straight onto it. Not,
Wow.
I mean, you should have some preparation, of course,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's no like NBC doesn't test you physically before you get to the first qualifying round. They like when people fail. It's a fun show when people fail. If
And
everyone did it, that would be a horrible show.
And that's the selling point.
That's the selling point.
Everybody
Exactly.
loves car wrecks. Everybody loves car
Exactly.
wrecks. Everybody loves train wrecks. So,
Mhm.
so tell us about your training regimen, your nutrition. How do you approach your training? How do you actually get in physical condition?
Yeah, good question. So qualifiers, I ran it late March, but early March I got COVID and I was on my butt for like 2 weeks.
Really?
And I mean, I lost a lot. Just, I mean, what is it? They say, is it 3 weeks you lose muscle, but 1 week you lose cardio? Something like that?
Yep. That's
okay.
the rule of thumb. Yeah.
Well, I lost my cardio. So
yeah.
after I came back into my living area, I saw that there is an old woman walking her dog. And I was like, oh my gosh, hey, do you need help? And she's like, oh my God, thank you. I can't do this. I fell a couple days ago and I'm just barely holding on. I just need someone to walk this dog. This dog had so much energy. So since that day, I have been walking and sprinting with this dog constantly. And because of that dog, that is why I did so well on the show. Running and just having a four-legged creature whoop your butt.
Oh yeah.
That got me running and getting my cardio. I hate cardio. I almost never run at all, except just for like fun in the forest.
Believe me, I get forced to run every weekend. So I understand. I
don't know. It's boring.
It's so boring, man. It's so boring. So boring. My mind goes off in tangents, and then I slow down. I'm like, dog, don't slow down, because I jog with my girl, and she's like a doggone deer. So I'm the doggone tortoise. She's the deer, and I see her like 3 blocks ahead of me, and I'm slowing down, thinking about some crap because I'm bored. Like, God. So I'm the same way.
Yeah, I mean, running is not. It doesn't appeal to me at all. I had an ex-girlfriend that made me run all the time, and I'm like, I would continuously outrun her, but I'm like, I hate this. What do you do? Like, when I run and when I work out in the forest, I bring my bow, I strap my arrows on my back, and then I find the thinnest possible trail amongst like just weeds and ferns, and I just sprint and see if I could get like a more of a dynamic run going, like jumping over rocks and doing that. So that's where my cardio comes from. And then up in Big Bear, California, up here, there's great forests that I run around. And so that, and then training regimen, I'm thinking about training today, either that or master's degree homework. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But Tuesdays and Thursdays, I train from 7:30 to about 11 at night. Because Ninja Warrior is basically just a bunch of people after work going to train. So that's when it's open. And then if I do any extra stuff, it's either swimming or just, I mean, it's more of a lifestyle for me. So last weekend I was with my buddy Kurt and we were swimming in the ocean. We were out in the ocean for like 2.5 hours just with nothing but us. And there's a freedom to that too, especially saltwater. You float so much more. You barely have to try. And then we were going down with the sharks, and they're like reef sharks, so they're not going to bite you.
Yeah.
But you can check that out on my profile as well, at Outdoor Anthony Instagram.
There you go. And hey, everybody, we're going to get all of Anthony's information in the notes. And you want to contact them. I mean, I love this concept of physical activity with a purpose, and it's free. It's pretty much
so free. It's free.
It's free. Yeah. But the only rules are the rules of nature, which is cool. I love that aspect of this. So tell us about your nutrition. How is your nutrition? Do you plan it out, or do you just try to make good choices?
I set myself up so I don't have to plan it too much. I usually, for breakfast, I alternate between like a Kodiak, I think it's called Kodiak protein pancakes. So I just put a couple eggs in those, have those for breakfast, either that or like an omelet with some pesto, or just a regular vanilla protein shake with just stuff I find in the fridge. But I've stopped doing fruit because just too much sugar honestly, I don't feel any different when I just put a bunch of sugar in my protein shakes. So Yeah, either just drinking it straight or it's all vegan. I don't do any whey or soy protein. It's all pea protein.
Yeah.
And then in terms of meats, I basically don't eat beef. I don't eat pork. Chicken is nice.
Yeah.
Chicken and turkey, I can mess with those, but I mean, just for like an Nature Boy sustainability point, I can get that protein doing other things. But I mean, if I go to Chipotle, I'm not gonna like hurt myself and not get some chicken. Chipotle is like my cheat trick.
Oh, okay. Oh,
but if I'm looking to like gain some muscle, I'll eat like 2 Chipotle burritos a day just to survive.
And that works for you. I
love. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You take. I don't do sour cream or cheese too much. My dad is like horribly lactose intolerant, and I'm starting to get there, and I feel it. And I just feel like if I eat cheese, it's fine, but I just feel it for like a couple of days, and I don't want that. So you got to be light. Yeah. And then palm oil, anything that has palm oil in it, I usually don't touch. So palm oil is a preservative that comes from the rainforest. That it's mainly out in Indonesia, and it's actually the biggest reason why we have deforestation in the rainforest out there is because of this plant. People burn down the rainforest and plant these plants because we buy it.
Yeah.
So on top of that, it's a food preservative, which means that it's mainly in like bad stuff. So number one, it's horrifying for the environment. That's like the main reason why orangutans are in a bad way. It's because of palm oil. Wow. And two, if you cut it out, you actually are healthier. So win-win, I just don't eat palm oil. You can find that in like Twizzlers, a lot of hair products, actually. DiGiorno pizzas, anything that you find in the freezer aisle usually has palm oil in it. Check it out. It's worth investigating, but I'm a huge orangutan fan. So I figured that was something I could do.
Wow. Do you have a website that you actually, give this information out? Because I saw you also have a podcast too, right? Yeah,
a little bit of a naturalist podcast where we do that. For me personally, my website's still up and getting off the ground. It's probably got here a couple weeks now. It's basically anthonyporter.net, and it just shows all the things that I've done and the things I'm passionate about. Yeah. But if you want to learn more about these different kind of environmental things, mongabay.com. That's where I get all my good stuff and send to people. So it's mongabay.com.
Well, when we're done, all the links that you are that are attached to whatever you're doing, that whatever I want you to send them to me. They're going to be in the show notes. I'm going to push, and because I'm an environmentalist to a point. I cannot throw. I'm a real big proponent of plastic and recycling. I'm a huge proponent of that. It bothers me when I see people throw a bottle into the garbage and it doesn't get recycled. I have like 3 computers that I have just sitting up. They're like 15 years old. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, it's tough. We're not set up for success. It's figuring out what we can do.
Yeah, and I hate throwing stuff like that into landfills and making things even worse. So I mean, but you're talking about some really deep subjects within environmental issues that later I would love to have you back on, because I mean this podcast is about developing and actually educating people on how to live a healthy lifestyle. And you can't have a healthy lifestyle if you don't have a healthy planet.
Absolutely. I love that.
It's no way around it. The main objective is to preserve yourself and preserve the environment around you so everybody can prosper.
I love that. Thanks for adding that, Ernest. That's a great way to put it.
Oh man, I go through this. Me and my girl, we have our disagreements about it because she's not the best recycler yet. I'm still working my way to try to get her to recycle. So it's a battle that I fight, just on a daily basis sometimes.
Hey, it's step by step. Those things, I mean, the most resilient people, I've got them in my life. It's just all about the small things. A big paradigm shift for everybody, it's not gonna take. No. It's just changing maybe one thing a week where it's like, I'll get a reusable water bottle this week, and then you just have a little bit less plastic, Exactly. Or cutting out palm oil, or even cutting down on your coffee intake, or seeing where your coffee comes from. Palm oil and coffee are the biggest deforesting agricultural products.
Wow.
So I've never had a cup of coffee in my life, but that's just because I'm terrified of what it does to people. I don't want to be reliant on coffee. I've never had coffee in my life. Well, I don't want to start.
I can't say that I had 2 cups this morning. So I mean,
oh man,
but that does, since you said that, I will start looking for where the coffee is actually sourced. And and the palm oil, I've known a little bit about it. I knew it was not good for you, but I did not know that it was a preservative. And I did not know it was responsible for a good substantial amount of deforestation, which is a major part of why the climate is going nuts right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it. That's exactly what's going on. So, I mean, when it comes to me personally, educating people, whether it's kids or adults, it's doing one thing like that. If I sit here and tell you all the problems for the next 30 minutes, right, it's not going to make you more receptive. You're going to come out and be like, oh man, just change one thing. Don't eat palm oil next week, but see what happens, And if everyone changes 1%, that's better than 40 people changing 90%, right?
Big time.
So it's the little steps, but we'll get there. We have faith. I got faith in us, and we don't have a choice.
Oh yeah. And to be honest, we don't have a choice. I mean, being honest, once you think that you're ahead of the game, you're really kind of behind the 8 ball, and you have to start making those small changes right now. And I'm going to make those small changes. I'm going to start actually really looking for palm oil in the things that I buy, and try to really curtail that and make it a big part of my plan to help preserve the planet. So I
love it.
That. I really appreciate.
Thank you very much. That's awesome. I'm glad I can help.
Oh man, hey, this has been a great interview. We dove into a lot of different things. So what are your short-term goals for yourself? What do you want to accomplish over the next, year to 18 months?
Yeah. Right now I'm getting into the hosting industry. So I've been doing a lot of online content, doing science education, nature education, and just straight up zany Ninja Warrior stuff. And so translating that into something that I could help people in a broader impact. Like I said, I've been teaching for so long, and I felt like my impact could be getting bigger than just classroom per classroom. Maybe you influence one person once in one classroom, but having that presence where I feel like some of my skills are talking in front of people. So using the skills that you have in order to create a bigger impact, I think is my whole thing. So next, I would love to have a show where I'm in charge of taking people out into the wilderness and being like, this is how you either survive. Wow. There's just some fun things you can do outside, or these are ways that we can help the planet. So different ways to inspire people without being like, this is bad. This is like a documentary where you're going to get sad after, this is your one life you have. You have one life. How much time are you going to get spending this just being sad about what's going on in the world? There's no point in just being sad and then not addressing a solution for it. So do it in a positive light and then take it step by step. And that's really my thing. So getting hosting agencies, getting all these media content, marketing, all the stuff under my belt, which is a full-time job in itself. And I already have 2 jobs and a full-time student in training for this show. It's just nuts. But this is a time in the world to do what you can to make a difference. And I'm trying with the skills I have. I learned a long time ago, this is something else, but if I want to do something right, I got to put my whole weight into it. If I want to be a good singer, I'm not just going to be that singer guy. I'm going to be the singer that's also a great athlete and great archer and environmentalist, because that's going to attract more people. If I want to be a ninja warrior, I'm not going to be a great athlete. I'm going to be a great athlete who's also an archer and a singer and do all this other stuff. So I think Napoleon lost the war because he split his forces in half at one point when he died. But if he would have moved those forces each side back and forth, that's how he would have won. And so I think that's my philosophy is I got to bring everything I have to each problem that I want to address. So long-winded way of saying I'm trying to get on TV, but
there you go. I hear you. You have it all planned out. And really, to be honest, TV is what it is. TV is a broad reach, has a broad reach. You can reach a good number of people really quick. But the gatekeepers, people that put people in that position, they're still in charge. But what we're doing right now, I guarantee you'll reach a lot more people because this content is going to be forever. It's going to be on the internet forever, and there's no way that anybody can keep it from being broadcast.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's the coolest
That's
thing.
awesome.
And that's why I started my podcast, and I really started diving deep into it, and I really wanted to get the word out just to educate people on how to live a more happy, fulfilling life, and to be active, live, be a stronger person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is the goal that I approach when I'm creating my programs, when I'm talking to people, when I'm coaching. That is the main objective. And,
you're focusing on the right stuff. I think that's perfect.
I'm trying. And this is, this is really about you. But what's your long-term goal? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years. Oh boy. Hopefully I have a girlfriend by then.
Hey, when you're not looking, that's when they come. So that's
dude, seriously. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing with life in general too, right?
Yeah, big time.
10-year goal. I mean, if media presence doesn't work out, which I'm hoping it does, but I want to use the skills I have to educate people and help. So nonprofit organizations in the rainforest, that's where I'm going to go when the TV stuff, when I give the due time for doing TV. I'm doing nonprofit organizational work where I'm boots on the ground. I'm clearing out weeds that are invasive to the area. I'm helping people pick up animals that we tranquilize to locate them to new areas where they're not going to harm people. Stuff like that. But also now that I'm getting my master's in business sustainability, I'm going to use those skills to make sure that these places don't go under, to make sure these places just keep living and doing good work. So I don't know. It's a multi-pronged pincer approach to doing what I can, but I'm just trying to prepare myself as much as possible so I can help as much as possible.
That is huge, because that sustainable business aspect is a big player in all industries. I don't care what industry you're in. If you don't have some sort of plan of sustainability on what you consume, what you produce, it is you won't last long in the marketplace these days. That's a great plan.
Yeah, thank you. And internet helps with people kind of voicing proper concerns.
Yeah,
which is nice. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because then you just get this doom and gloom stuff all the time and you start to zone stuff out. But the people that are passionate, I mean, they can inspire a lot of people. You can do a lot of good in this world. So it's just up to you what you want to do.
Big time. All right, well, I'm not going to hold you too much. So any parting words, tell us more about yourself, where people can reach you, and then we're going to have it in the show notes. When we're off, if you can email me every link. I don't care how big the email is.
Oh, Ernest, I'll do it.
All your information, so it can be in the show notes. It can be on the YouTube channel. It can be on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram at Outdoor Anthony. That's where I have all my stuff. It's just one big word, Outdoor Anthony. I have fun videos up on YouTube under the same name, Outdoor Anthony. You can check that out. But honestly, I'm a dude that always messages back. If you friend me, if you message me, if you leave a comment on my stuff, I'm always gonna respond back to you. So I love that. I want to create a community. So that's my whole goal.
That's a done deal. I'm gonna find you on Instagram today, and we're gonna make it happen. So I mean, and
let's connect.
Man. This has been excellent. Well, this has been the Game Ready podcast. This is one of the coolest episodes. I have a lot of cool people, but Anthony hit it out the park, and I knew this would be a great episode, because when he contacted me, it was very humble. It was straight to the point, and but he had a purpose, and that's part of my mantra. You want to live and train with a purpose. And Anthony has a purpose, and hopefully everybody sees that. Follow him on Instagram. Please go through the show notes, look at what he's got going on, and try to make your environment, make yourself a better person every day. Hey, Ant, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we'll we'll be back. We'll be back together again, talking about some other interesting things.
Dude, let's connect. I would love to be back. This was so nice.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, have a great day. Train with a purpose. Take care.